Hello and welcome to Talk to Me. My name is Heather.
And I'm Kathleen.
And this week we are covering bad vegan, fame, fraud, fugitives. But before we get into that, let's take care of some of the show stuff. If you would like to leave any comments or suggestions, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. If you would like to email us comments or suggestions or donate on PayPal, our email is doctomepod@gmail.com. We appreciate every cent.
Or even every review.
Yes.
Just tell us what we could stand to do better.
We do have some stickers to give away. Just hit us up with your mailing address and I'll get that to you. U.S. listeners only, please. So let's get back to this. I gotta be honest, I really kept putting this off because I wasn't ready to get back into dealing with like a scammer and having sympathy for victims. That
it's
just ignore a lot of red flags.
It's really hard when like so many people were apparently born yesterday.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. And then it's like worse when they have people like in their orbit pointing out red flags.
And
they're just
no,
like,
it's like totally like normal, and I'm gonna send all these like Visa gift cards to this computer company because my computer has a whatever.
Okay, but when it's like old people who fall for that I understand.
When it's old people, I get it. I get it when it's old people, but I've had young people who are like, "Is this a scam?" And it's like, "Bitch, of course it's a scam." Like the number of times I'm just like,
don't open emails, don't click on links if you don't know these people.
like, oh man, just like it's like no one understood anything about like viruses or just, you know, it's like people still getting like fax letters from Nigerian princes who want to give you money, and they're just like, okay, this makes sense that some like random Nigerian prince has millions of dollars to give me and he's sending me a fax.
Yeah.
Or an email. Like, okay, sure.
So this is a 4-part docuseries released March 16th, 2022, directed by Chris Smith, who seems to really love Netflix or something because he did this one, Fire, and the disappearance of Madeleine McCann.
Well, he's got a market.
Yeah. So time to get into this shit show.
Let me just say it could have been like 2 episodes.
Yes. We start off with a phone argument between a man and a woman, and at this point, all we know is he's definitely not down with this documentary. I hadn't heard anything about this story before this.
Either, but also gonna go out on the record and say that, like, not a vegan.
It feels like a very, like, New York story, too.
Like, not a vegan, not a clean eater. I love my Cheez-Its and my Pringles and my steak. So would not fit in this circle.
No. New York City, 2019, we are introduced to Sarma Melangalis, who was the female involved in the phone call. She's a skinny white blonde woman. I don't know how else to describe her.
She's, what was it that he called her? SHB?
A tiny blonde human.
Oh,
because I kept thinking, to be honest, because it was TBH.
TBH, that's what it was. Tiny blonde human, which is like I would be so weirded out if like my husband called me that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be flattered that he called me a tiny person, but let's be real.
So she's basically taking the stance of, I don't know how I got here, only he really knows, which is very cryptic. So let's quickly get through her stats. She was born September 10th, 1972, and raised in Newton, Massachusetts, which the Fig Newton was named after this town.
It's a very old town, I'm sure.
So,
basically anything in fucking Massachusetts.
Yeah, the current stats for the median family income of Newton is like $155,000, which is $90,000 more than the U.S. average.
Again, it's Massachusetts.
So I feel like if you're growing up here, like, you're probably doing fine. Her dad was a physicist at MIT, and her mother was a professional chef who later co-founded Allison's Orchard. And then I read, like, her dad started a bread company.
Oh, they were really into food.
Like a rye bread company. I think that's more recent. And they later divorced when Sarma was 9. Her sister is also featured in this, and she seems much older. Like, she talks about being in college and 14-year-old Sarma coming up to visit her. I also read in one of her later blog posts that she has a brother.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. It's just, like, casually mentioned once.
He must be the black sheep of the family.
Which, what did he do if he's the black sheep of the family? Sarma graduated from the University of Pennsylvania in 1994 with a BA degree and received a BS degree in economics from the Wharton School of Business. So, very prestigious schools. What the fuck happened?
Her parents had money.
She moved to New York City and was hired to work at Bear Stearns, which is an investment firm, until 1996 when she joined up at Bain Capital in Boston, working in private equity investment.
So she was in, like, the numbers, like, she was doing pretty well.
Yeah, she returned to New York City in 1998 to join a high-yield investment fund at CIBC, but soon left to enroll at New York's French Culinary Institute. All I hear out of this is that it seems like she has no idea what she wants to do with her life.
Because she's privileged.
She is just quickly jumping job, and then just switching career.
Yeah, like, she said something about, like, she found that it was boring and it didn't interest her, and she just didn't want to do that for the rest of her life.
You went through all these years of college and you didn't figure that out then?
Yeah, like before you paid for all those school loans?
God, I don't know if she paid for any. Other people had subscriptions to the Wall Street Journal, but she was more interested in Gourmet Magazine and Food and Wine. Like, can you imagine going to expensive-ass schools and in less than 5 years being like, no.
Like,
that's insane.
Just because you like to cook doesn't necessarily mean that you have to make it your career, but, I mean, she seemed to be on the right track when she did.
Like, I wanted to fucking hate her when she's like, money wasn't an issue, so I could just quit my job and go to culinary school. Just like, oh my God.
Must be nice.
Yeah. She hooks up with superstar chef Matthew Kenny, and they want to open a vegan raw food restaurant together, and they were going to get backing from, God, what was this? How do you pronounce this guy's name? Jeffrey Chodoroy?
That sounds right.
It sounded right. Who has his own weird, shady background that they don't talk about at all. There's some fraud and money laundering related to Braniff International Airlines, which I don't know if you recognize. Their headquarters here in Dallas.
I do recognize.
There was some stuff where, like, first off, the airline did not last long. I think within 2 months they were, like, filing bankruptcy.
I could see how it'd be difficult to open your own airline.
I think, like, the boss stepped down, and so Jeffrey was taking over, but really the old boss was still working behind the scenes. There was some money exchange. It was really shady.
Little puppet master, and
it was illegal. I think he was served some prison time.
Oh, must have been a cushy prison.
So I'm a little confused on the timeline we're given, because she talks about how they opened Pure Food and Wine, but she had a previous restaurant called Commissary in 2001 that closed in 2003. But this just jumped straight to the Pure Food and Wine that they opened in June 2004. I just felt it was weird, like, how they kind of, like, just gloss over stuff.
And I mean, 2001
to 2003.
It's not, like, a short-lived. I mean, that's...
I mean, sometimes when you look at restaurants, like...
they only last, like, a couple months. Like,
and it's these big-time chefs who, like, open them, and even they...
Yeah, so, I mean, that's not necessarily, like, something to, you know...
I just thought it was weird. It's not mentioned at all. This Vanity Fair journalist, his hair. Like, he's wearing this nice suit, and then his hair just looks greasy and unkempt. I don't know. It was... all I could look at was his hair. But you do you. Her and Matthew's relationship in restaurants seemed like a success, but she says behind the scenes it wasn't great. She, ironically, was great with money, but he wasn't.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So, like, my last job, I worked with my husband. Like, we didn't work hand in hand, but, like, we occasionally would have to work together. So we would sometimes get in arguments on how something should be handled, but there's no way I'd be able to, like, work with him if we had broken up. So, of course, when these two break up, poor Jeff is in the middle, first off.
Well, let me just go on record that I've worked in a situation where someone had gone through a divorce with another coworker, and it was not pretty.
No. So I can't... yeah, these two, they broke up. It didn't... I don't think he was there very long before he left.
Didn't she buy him out or something?
Yeah, Jeff's in the middle of this. He ends up siding with Sarma because she had a business background. And so it's a little cloudy on the details, but Matthews basically bought out for his share of close to $2 million. And then Sarah became friends with Alec Baldwin?
Which was such a weird side story that didn't even need to be a story.
No, did not at all.
I guess the only reason it really even mattered or was like a big part of this story is just because that's how, you know, douchebag extraordinaire comes into play. But like, I wonder what Alec Baldwin had to say about this. Did he like try to stop this documentary coming out?
I just think it's funny he called his 11-year-old daughter a rude, thoughtless little pig. You remember that on that voicemail?
Of course, I will never forget.
But now he's a vegan.
Maybe it was like an endearing thing.
I don't know.
And let's be clear, like, I've definitely called my kid, like, a rude, thoughtless
Yeah, but to like
asshole.
shit on pigs and then, but I'm not going to eat pigs. I'm better than that.
No, I have a hard time eating pigs, aside from bacon.
Well, yeah, I don't eat pork at all. But
Yeah.
anything else, yeah.
And
That's going down my gullet.
And I also don't try to go on record yelling those things at my child. I tend to say them behind her back.
So it seems he wanted to hook up with Sarma, but she was like, no, maybe you should get a dog instead. Which is like, that's rough. And it seems pretty soon after this is when he met Hilaria at Sarma's restaurant. So it's her fault we have to deal with Hilaria. How do you say cucumber? Baldwin. So when I learned that fact, I was already like, whatever you did wrong is on you. So she's sending him pictures of dogs to adopt when she stumbles upon an American Pit Bull Terrier mix that she would adopt and name Leon. This whole side story, like,
Okay, but when I
it is half an episode.
It really, no, it's like, I feel like it's the whole episode. Like, it is so slow moving. I'm like, get to the crimes.
Yes.
But also, like, every time I hear mention of Leon, I think of Leon and Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I wish this Leon was as fun as that.
It's a cute dog.
Yeah, but he's like a side character in this. Now there's this other weird side story of this random guy on Twitter named Shane Fox who is like harassing Alec Baldwin. Can we say that?
And yeah, just like the tweets he's tweeting at him, like,
It just seemed like constantly like, I'm gonna tweet this famous guy. Like
he's not your friend, bro.
Yeah.
And also the fact that she thought that they were friends just because, like, Alec Baldwin was like,
she does not know
tweeting
how
back
the internet works.
It's like, sometimes the celebrities just respond. It doesn't mean that they like them.
Yeah, it
like-
wasn't like in a bad way, but it seemed like commenting like constantly and tagging him in tweets. Like,
And he was like asking for
weird.
suit advice one time.
yeah,
Just like, bro, just Google search. You don't need to ask Alec
it was
Baldwin.
really weird. But Sarma's in this weird place in her life and thinks, well, Alec met Hilaria because of me. Maybe I can meet my soulmate because of Alec.
So weird. I just
Like,
can't.
she reminds me of, was it Indy from Love After Lockup, who, like, whatever her psychic said, that was what she was going to do.
I'm
Even though
gonna-
everybody else is like, hey, no, this doesn't make sense.
I'm gonna move across the country and
Yes,
be with this guy.
without looking for a place to live or anything.
My psychic told me it was a good idea. And I
But then the
paid-
psychic says, oh, he's cheating on you. Well, what about the other shit you said?
You couldn't tell me that before I moved. Like, how, like, you couldn't see that in my future?
Yeah, now I'm stuck in Ohio. My mom's a badass bounty hunter.
Wow.
So,
When he jumps parole.
so it's funny that when she goes on to get closer to this guy by playing Words with Friends, like, all I can remember was when Alec Baldwin got kicked off a plane because he wouldn't stop playing Words with Friends. Like, what was it with this game?
It was really addicting. I definitely remember that period of time. Like, I was playing Words with Friends, but I wasn't talking to anyone. That's,
No,
like,
I didn't know
weird.
you could do that.
Yeah, like, I don't want to talk to anyone when I'm playing games. Like, I have a hard enough time, like, when my kid wants to talk to me, like, when we're in the same room playing Animal Crossing. I'm like, yeah, we don't need to communicate.
That's why mommy got this.
Yeah, just tell me what your turnip price is.
So I can spend time with you without really talking to you.
Yeah, I don't want to look at you. Just tell me what your turnip price is so I can decide where to sell.
So they get closer and talk more over the phone, and she just immediately is in love with him, and he's so big and strong and blah, 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 without having met this guy.
She's never, it's literally like internet dating, like, in the early days, like, I remember doing this kind of shit. You go on a blind date with someone you've never met, and it doesn't turn out the way you thought it would.
She is, like, too old to be falling for this shit.
No, exactly. When I was doing it, I was, like, 19.
She has her, like, own business, and it's... She should know better. But I constantly say that throughout this.
Yeah, she should have known better.
They finally meet up, and shocker, his pictures didn't match.
He's a bit beefier.
Like, maybe it's because all the pictures we see are from, like, the neck up.
Or they're, like, 10 years old.
So, yeah, she's like, he's fat, but she's not shallow, and her dog likes him. Like, I don't know, not every dog is a genius.
Dude, I'm just gonna, like, my dog is a dumbass.
Yeah.
Like, he likes everyone. So I can't really say, like, most people are like, you know, animals have a good judge of character.
Not always.
Not always. Some animals like fucking everyone.
Just like our younger dog. As long as you have food, yeah, you're a great person. She doesn't care.
Even if you might consider having food at some point, my dog is gonna love you. Like, some bullshit.
And she's not comfortable telling people who this guy is because she tells one person she met him in business school and then tells another person that he's her cousin, which is a stupid thing to say if you're going to be like, if you're hopeful for a relationship with this guy.
Hey guys, watch
this
me
is my
fuck
cousin.
my cousin.
Yeah. And then like 2 weeks later, they see you kissing your so-called cousin.
Which just makes me think that, like, she was, like, ashamed
Yes.
of who he was.
Yeah.
And that whole thing, which is, like, I mean, whatever. If you don't want to tell people that, like, you met on a dating app or something, like, that's fine. You, like, come up with a, you know, story, like, hey, we met in a supermarket. Or...
He's my cousin, yeah.
Yeah. First of all, you don't say he's a relation.
No.
And second of all, you don't tell a different story to every person that you meet. Like, you have one story, you stick with it for everyone, and that's, like, your little meet cute, like... You're just like, oh, we met in the supermarket. We were both looking at avocados. Like,
or get exciting with it. Like, we went parachuting together. Like, make it something, but not, oh, he's my cousin.
It's slim pickings, let me tell you.
Oh, my God. And it's not like this dude is straightforward either. He won't answer about anything in his life and just says he has, like, a military background and he must because the background on his laptop has the CIA symbol on it.
Because you couldn't just, like, save an image and, like, use it as your background.
And he closes his laptop whenever she walks into the room.
Yeah, so do cheaters.
Like, I feel if you're a super secret CIA agent or involved with Black Ops...
And my 12-year-old daughter.
You wouldn't tell anybody you're involved with that.
No.
Like, isn't that the rule?
No, you have some boring cover story. You're not just like, I'm like a spy.
Yeah, she's like, he was in a Bentley and wore a Rolex watch and was watching drone footage on his password-protected laptop.
Which is
like, you
also...
can't fake any of that.
Also, everyone's laptop is password protected. And
it's standard now. Yeah.
And... Do you really think the military pays that well? Like,
yeah.
Really? In America? You are like, oh, he had a nice car. Like,
and you can't find drone footage online? There's everything online.
So dumb.
And then we finally get to it. He asks for cash.
As a test.
Like, you went to Ivy League schools. Like, I don't understand it. But I guess, you know, we just haven't been that truly and deeply in love with someone before. We just wouldn't get it.
I mean, I asked my husband for cash, but, like, that's a little bit different.
Oh, it's not thousands of dollars?
You know, we have 2 kids together. Like, it's just so weird. Like, I'd give you money, but I've known you for years. Like, it's just, you're like, guys.
And just like with Tinder
Ask your friends.
Just like with Tinder Swindler, like, I don't want to shit on these women who get suckered by these asshole guys because they are sweet women and no one deserves to be treated this way and to be taken advantage of.
So many people fall for cons, like, every day. Like,
yeah.
There is a reason why being a con man is a career. But
it's how deep they get into it. I don't understand.
Take a step back. Talk to some friends about it. Post in, like, an online forum and be like, does this sound weird? Like, just reach out to people and run it by them before you're like, here, is a wire for $20,000.
Yeah. When they start asking for money, just no.
Like, if somebody borrows more than $20 from you,
Yeah.
you're going to need at least, like, 2 outside opinions.
Yes. And Sarma seems like a really sweet person who is just too trusting. But eventually, you kind of run out of sympathy.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do before you're like, okay.
We meet Anthony Caruana, who is unhoused, and he starts crying, talking about how sweet Sarma was to him. She gave him money, fed him at her restaurant, and would let him keep his extra clothes at her apartment. And she, like, seemed to really change his life.
Yeah, like, he definitely turned his life around with her.
And I just really love this dude, because he's, like, hardcore Italian. Like,
He's
not
so
gonna take
sweet,
shit.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I fell in love with your dog.
Right away, he talks about the first time he met Shane, and he said that dude had a fat head, which I love Italian people. You got a fat head, they're going to call you out on it. This goes out to all men, women, whatever. If anyone around you is sensing red flags about someone you're with, like, don't fucking write that off.
Yeah, like, just, you don't have to, like, dump him immediately, but, like, keep it in the back burner. You know,
Like,
just think about it occasionally.
All these people are saying they sense something off about the guy, and even better is when he called the corporate office, his caller ID came up with a totally different name. Like, just ask some questions. So Anthony Strangis comes up on the caller ID, and the people in the office, of course, Google his name because they know how the internet works. And an article comes up about how the guy rescued 5 children from a burning building. I'm just kidding. It was a mugshot. Of course, a mugshot.
Because he has a fucking arrest record.
Yes.
And he's using a false name. That should be, like, the biggest glaring red flag in the entire world. If someone's using a fake name with you, like, run.
So they bring it up to Sarma, and she just blows him off. Like, I get the past of the past and people could change, but, like, for the most part, like, why'd you change your name? Yeah. You definitely couldn't be, like, some secret CIA agent with a criminal record like that. So, like, what's up with that?
And the fact that she believed him.
Yeah.
Like, he's, like, you know, super top secret and all that stuff, but he has an arrest record.
Well, and one of the charges was for impersonating a police officer, which that one was, like, eventually dropped, but...
Do your homework, babe. Like, look into that stuff.
Sarma says she eventually became frustrated with his lying and nothing made sense and ends the relationship. Like, yeah, if you don't know what to call your partner, like, it's probably not gonna go anywhere. Sarma goes to stay at her mother's house in New Hampshire. Not really sure why, because her mom wasn't home at the time.
Maybe house sitting?
Like, yeah, and Sarma isn't comfortable with country living, so Shane/Anthony offers to drive her back to New York City. And he brings his dad along, who backs up all the lies that this guy has told her, because parents have never lied for their children before. And so she gets back together with him. It does not make sense. And in this point in the story is when you lose any sympathy. You know the dude's lying. You have everyone around you telling you to just end it, and you just keep going along with it.
And I'm also weirded out by the fact that, like, she was talking about how, like, she wasn't even really all that attracted to him, and, like, she wasn't in love with him. It's like, then why are you with him? Like,
it's so bizarre.
It's a weird, like, if you're just friends, that's a weird friendship.
Yeah. It's like when someone, like, always asks for your advice and then never follows it, but then, like, continuously keeps asking. Like, it's frustrating. Like, why bother? So he goes hard. He takes her to Tiffany's to look at rings, takes her to a fancy bar where she says, "I love you." Which, why would you say that if you're not...
Too soon.
Yeah. And then they start looking at townhouses to buy together, and I'm wondering who's paying for all this.
The military.
If he is, she's not questioning why this career criminal is able to afford any of this. Again, this is New York City. Like, shit's not cheap.
Townhome? Like,
the townhome was $15 million.
Yeah, I was about to say, you're talking millions.
We'll just go with Anthony at this point, calling him Anthony. He says he has
Anthony.
He has all this money tied up in all these different accounts and even a villa in Italy, but he just can't seem to be able to get the finances together to help buy this townhouse, so that falls through.
Like, okay.
But I was like, you just learned he has a villa in Italy and you're not immediately like,
let's just
can
move
we
there.
go?
Yeah, like, fuck this New York City shit. Like, we'll
just
go
for a
live in
visit.
villa.
Like, she's crazy. So Sarma's still in so much debt from buying her ex out of the restaurant partnership, and Anthony has all this money.
Like a loan for the
Yeah.
restaurant. Like,
It's $2 million. Anthony has all this money that he's offered to help out with the debt. Well, the best way to do that without having to deal with taxes is to just marry the guy. So she's going to marry this guy who's already been caught in lies, couldn't get his money together and make this big purchase already,
uses a fake name.
but you're just going to marry him because he can help get you out of a financial situation when you have no proof he even has the funds. It's a selfish reason, and you're an idiot. Like, no sympathy.
Dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Like, you're sitting there admitting you're marrying him for his money. Like, you've already said you're not, well, later on she says she's not attracted to him, and
Yeah, she wasn't in love. She's like,
so they file for a marriage license the next day after only knowing each other a year. But not really, because he lied about his name and his life, but it's okay because her dog likes him. So Anthony is still trying to pass as a CIA agent and introduces Sarma to his tech guy in Europe named Will Richards, which I laughed because I was like, oh, his name's Will Dick. Which, again, Anthony isn't in the CIA, so this dude Will is just like another criminal scumbag who is there to help make sure this con man's naive wife stays in her lane, which requires her to give him passwords to her email, social, fucking bank accounts.
who is so... I just can't, like, what? And this is like, she's only communicating through, like, emails. Like, this isn't like she's met him in person and, like...
Even talk on the phone.
Seen credentials or any of his kind of stuff. She just, like, gets an email from this guy claiming to be who he is and gives him all of her information, and she's just like, that seems on the up and up.
You went to Wharton School of Business. Like, it's...
You graduated high school, bitch. Like, what the fuck? My 12-year-old, again, my 12-year-old would know better than to give her passwords and information out in an email. And she's 12.
So I had to pause watching at this point to just scream into a pillow. I was so mad.
I texted you several times. I was just like...
Well, yeah, when I finished, I had to go back through the text. Because I literally... It wasn't until like a few days ago I finally was like, I have to sit and... I was so like against watching it. Because I knew I was going to be mad.
I got like this second episode in, and I was just like, oh my god, when is this shit gonna move along? Like,
yeah, I really was like, I gotta watch this. So, a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, we featured a guy who believed he saw Bigfoot.
Totally
Well,
did.
this week, this week we've got an even weirder guy who believes he's not human, he's immortal, and tells this woman that if she just follows along with his plan, she and her dog could also become immortal.
Okay.
Like, bitch, run.
Okay, but if someone told me they could make my dog live forever, I would probably give them money.
I don't know, I have pugs, they all fart and snore, so it really doesn't matter.
Dude, if my lab could live forever, I would, like, give my kidney.
I got a dog knowing they don't live that long. It's fine.
We're very attached, Heather. How the fuck am I going to sleep without him laying on my legs?
Well, you've smelled my dog farts. You know why I'm not like...
Oh, dude, like, again, he's, like, towards the end of his life, so, like, sometimes I'm like, oh my god, did you shit in the bed? Nope, just a fart.
I remember when we first got B, for the longest, it took us a while to realize, like, those are her farts, because we would smell them and go, she shit somewhere in the house. And we would spend hours trying to find the shit before we finally realized that's just her farts.
Okay, but even better, he's old and he has, like, a loose butthole, and so, like, after he eats, if he doesn't go outside...
I at least don't have that.
If he doesn't go outside, like, fucking immediately, he will literally just be walking around and shit will be coming out of his ass, and he has no idea that it's him. No idea. So you, like, can't be upset at him, like, even remotely, because, like, he doesn't know it's happening. He's as confused as you
Do you
are
need to
about
borrow some diapers?
He's just confused. Oh my god, it's just, oh, yeah. He'll be, like, laying in bed and shit will just come out of his ass. Like,
I mean, we've all had that at least once.
Usually
you
I'm
can't
drunk.
judge. You can't judge the man. So, and she's talking about all of this with a straight face, and part of this plan is for her to prove her loyalty to him by wiring him thousands of dollars, because that's how relationships, and especially marriages, work.
It's so fucking weird. Like, if he has so much money, why does he need you to give him money?
Well, and she even at one point says, like, I wired him all this money, and he wired me back $10,000, but didn't say, like, how much did you send him?
It's definitely, like, it was, like, a situation where she's, like, you know, a couple wires in, she's wired, like, $100,000, and he gives her back $10,000. She's like, but he gave me back $10,000?
Yeah, he was only supposed to give me $5,000, and he gave me $10,000. I'm like,
like,
oh my
that
God.
was your $10,000.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck, honey? Like...
So, yeah, little do we know, only one person has to do all the work to prove they love the other person. It's, like, literally what they do with, like, the Nigerian prince scams. Like, send me a little bit of money, and I'll share
All
it
the
with
money.
you, like, all the money I get back.
Yeah.
Like, it's so stupid. And, yeah, just
Or
fucking
that-
dumb. So not only is Anthony an immortal CIA agent, he's part of this ethereal family of other weird immortal beings who could see and know all, including where Sarma is at all times of the day. Which, I know what you're thinking. He clearly does not have a tracker on her phone.
Or even just, like, find my iPhone.
Yeah. Like, don't be ridiculous. It's ethereal beings. So, I remember you texting me and asking if I thought it was just mental illness. Was that on her part or his? Because I really think she was, like, so desperate to feel special that she just, like, went along with all this obvious bullshit.
It's
And
gotta be both.
he might have just been bored. I'm not sure. Wants to see, like, how far he can go.
I mean, I remember, like, the old days when I was, like, super, like, preteen, teenager, and I would get in, like, AOL chat rooms, and I would, like, try to convince guys to, like, do weird fucking cybering shit.
That's just fun.
But I would, like, see how far they would take it.
Yeah.
You know, like, pretend to be a dinosaur. No, we need you to roar for me. Like, you know, that kind of stuff. And, like, you just see how
Makes me
far...
think of Starsky and Hutch with Will Ferrell when he's like pretend to be a dragon. And Owen Wilson's like,
You just, like, you want to see how far the guy will go with it. And then you just realize, like, how fucking desperate some people are.
Yes.
And you're just like, okay. The internet's full of weirdos. Except
Yeah.
she's a grown woman.
So yeah, because she's so worried about him being killed if she doesn't go along with it. But I was like, you just said you thought he was immortal. Why are you worried about him being... Do you not know how this works? I'm curious if he ever took, like, Scientology classes, because some of the shit he pulls reminds me of Scientology.
Okay, but, like, maybe he's only, like, immortal in the sense that, like, he can live forever without aging. But, like, if he gets murdered, then he dies. I don't know. Is that a thing? Like...
That's not how it works, though. You could say, is that a thing? No.
Is that a thing? Like, he's like a vampire. But, like, if he gets staked through the heart, he dies. But he could live forever.
I'm just going to keep letting you go.
Okay. What's best is that, like, you can't see my face right now with my, like...
Or my face, or I'm just staring.
with my raised eyebrows and my hands doing
Your hands
all the
are going. You probably hear the...
Really?
Yeah, why are you karate chopping? So he's keeping her away from everyone by, like, constantly moving around the country and staying in hotel rooms, even when they were, like, back in New York City, which
Yeah,
is weird.
Yeah, like, who the fuck wants to stay in a hotel all the time?
I mean, I would, because I'm tired of cleaning up after everybody, but
If it was a dog?
fart in a new bed every night. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, they don't really talk about how she's dragging Leon everywhere.
I don't know if you've traveled with a large dog, but, like, it's pretty difficult to find nicer, decent places that allow large dogs.
Yeah.
Like, you can take small dogs
Yeah.
up to, like, 20 pounds or whatever, but once you start getting to, like, that 80, 100-pound dog, like...
Oh, and he's also a pit bull mix, and, like, there's some places that have, like, specific dog breeds that you can't have.
Yeah, like, shit, it's hard enough to find, like, boarding places. But sure, let's go to these, like, swanky hotels. And who's paying for the hotel? She is.
No, he is.
With all the money.
she gave him.
With the money she gave him.
She's got to prove herself. And they're clearly getting more comfortable in their relationship because Anthony's starting to gain weight, which, I mean, that happens in a relationship.
Oh, yeah, I totally let myself go.
Oh, my God, yes. And in this, it's referred to as his meat suit, which is fucking hilarious. Like, I'm not sure if the extra fat in his meat suit or if he's, like, talking about a Buffalo Bill kind of shit where he can just, like, put a new skin suit on. I wasn't sure. I don't know.
Or if it's like the aliens in Doctor Who that wear like the skin suits and they're like farting all the time.
Yeah, like, what is this?
Like, and they're just like constantly like, oh, the skin suit and like...
Just his meat suit. Ugh. So his excuse for getting fat is he's trying to make himself more unappealing to Sarma as a test to see if she'll stay with him or not, which... I'm now using that as excuse. It's not from like having kids or my bipolar medication or like avoiding strenuous activity because of my narcolepsy. Like, no, it's a test to see if my husband will still love me.
It's a true love test.
Jesus.
If you want to still fuck me when I'm fatter and fatter, like, it's real love.
Let's see how far we can go with this. So Anthony hooks up with this new guy, Nazim, who is a bartender that Anthony apparently visited and chatted with twice a day, 4 to 5 days a week, which sounds like a drinking problem, but whatever.
When I watched that part, I was like, that just sounds like an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Like, he's hanging out in a bar.
He just casually is like, oh yeah, he's here twice a day, like several times a week.
I'm not thinking successful man
who
works for the government. No. I'm thinking
alcoholic,
like raging alcoholic.
Who's
probably in debt because of all the fucking bar tabs
in New York. Yeah, that's insane.
You can get a bottle from the fucking liquor store for like a third of the price, man.
He talked this guy into going into business with him without signing any paperwork or contract. Nazim gives Anthony $35,000 to invest in a juice bar, which of course goes nowhere. But he does seem to get close to Sarma, and they kind of team up together to start recording calls from Anthony. And the calls are kind of chilling to listen to because Sarma is always so calm. And Anthony sounds like an abusive piece of shit. Like, he raises his voice to her, talks down to her.
He's probably on drugs.
And then, like, switches to being lovey-dovey with her in a calm voice. Like, it's clearly abusive. Sarma's finally starting to realize, like, I think this is all just a scam, but she feels like she's already thrown away so much money on this dude.
Which is like that whole lost cause fallacy or whatever, where, like, people are like, I can't break up with them because I've already been with them for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't sink more fucking time into it.
Like, she doesn't want to fully accept it was all for nothing, which, like, just like Tinder swindler, like,
your losses.
Just cut your losses and run.
Not worth it.
Like, it's only going to get worse if you stay and you keep lying to yourself. Like, would you rather lose $1,000 or $10,000 when you've already lost the $1,000? Like,
yeah, don't keep going.
Just accept your loss.
It's like fucking gambling in Vegas.
Yes.
Like, if you are already down, don't keep going. You're not going to dig yourself out. It's just not going to happen. If you, like, spend 10 years with someone who fucking sucks, spending 20 with them is not going to make it better.
No. But it might get better if you have a baby with them. I'm just kidding. Do not do that.
It does not ever get better. Babies only make shit worse.
So yeah, this story, it's like, it's embarrassing, but even worse when you stay. And the story gets so bad that there ends up being a 4-part series about it on Netflix.
Seriously, like, we're like 2 episodes in.
So she stays, and between 2012 and 2014, she ends up giving him $1.7 million.
Again, she has a loan for her business for $2 million. Like, and she is just gifted this man over $1 million.
I'm pretty sure if I had 1.7 million, I could make that last the rest of my life. Like, my kids aren't going to college, but I can make that last.
No,
that's insane.
You're getting your own student loans. Mommy didn't get by on my mommy's money. So.
Yeah. So yeah, the 1.7 is basically what she owed Jeffrey to begin with. So how do you go that far? Like, you're a smart fucking businesswoman. Like, Even fucking Nazim is watching what Sarma's going through, and he keeps giving Anthony money for this juice bar investment shit, and I think he said the total was around 100,000. So, like, nowhere near as bad, but still.
He's also a bartender, like, and he gave this
and
man...
I don't think he's from this country.
No, and he's
very Russian.
Giving this man $100,000. I'm just like, what are you people doing?
And then that's when Nazim realizes that Anthony's a fucking gambling addict. So all the money is just going towards that.
Of course it is.
And fucking Nazim is like, I already gave him all this money. I couldn't just walk away. Like, which ironically is what a fucking gambler would say.
So he just gambles more on the fact that, like, he's gonna get his shit together.
So now the story gets juicy. Anthony gets arrested for stealing a car or something in Florida. And when he's bailed out, Nazim picks him up, and Anthony says he just wants to go visit his ex-wife and kids. Hello.
Oh, no.
So we go into the interview with the ex-wife, Stacy, who right away starts with, so you guys want me to tell you all the lies that Anthony told me? Like, all the stories? Because I have a ton. Which
no, just tell
I bet
me
you
some
do,
of them.
sister. She talks about how Anthony and his dad confirmed that Anthony was an ex-Navy SEAL who was shot in the line of duty, which his dad's a fucking joke.
Well, his dad's also a con artist.
We learned that he was an abusive alcoholic, and I wasn't at all surprised to learn that dad was a cop, because 40% of cops are domestic abusers. It's just a fact. So learning this about his dad, I personally think Anthony is like the way he is because he sees his dad do whatever he wants and there's no consequences because he has the protection of being a cop. So Anthony thinks he could do the same thing. So 3 months after dating, Anthony and Stacy got married. He told her he had a $5 million check coming from a dead aunt, so they would be set for life. But of course, check never comes. And he didn't feel like ever getting a job. And then Stacy really felt stuck when she became pregnant.
As they do.
Did she have a daughter from a previous relationship?
I only heard of the one.
Because there was at one point where, like, I thought she was pregnant and there was also, like, an older girl there.
I thought it was maybe, like, a niece or something. Because I only heard mention of the one kid.
Oh. And then Anthony casually mentions that you could kill a baby by overdosing them with salt. And it would never show up on an autopsy? What the fuck was that about? Like, is he saying, hey, we could kill this baby, we could get life insurance money from it?
It was, all right, fucking psycho.
Yeah.
Don't come near my kid.
Anyway, Stacy and Anthony eventually break it off because he just jets out of there. What a cool guy. So we're going to have to make this another two-parter because it's just so much. And I have a feeling we're going to have a lot to discuss at the end.
Oh, boy, will we.
Like, I hate splitting them up, but it's easier for me when it comes to editing. But, hey, the story only goes downhill from here.
It just gets better and better.
Anyway, thanks so much for listening, and we will be back next week with this conclusion.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Doc to Me. The opening music is by Twisterium. For comments or suggestions, we can be reached by email at doctomepod@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at doctomepod and find a link to our Facebook group in the show notes. Thank you.